All right, I'm about to make an attempt to repair this hole in the board and put a TDA 2003 amplifier in place of the TDA 1004 that went there. Similar to how I did here, except I've got to do some sort of repair here. And here's what I'm thinking. So I've got I've got this piece of blank PCB that I've cut into the shape of the hole. I'm going to attach it down like that. Oh, get my hand out of the way. I'm going to attach it down to the board like that, and then I'm going to also clear out this burnt spot and make a larger void, and then I will solder the circuit onto this and then run jumper wires to it. So that's going to be my repair for that hole there, and we'll see how it works out. Okay, so I think I'm done with this board. Everything's tested out and working. Just going to give a summary of what I did to repair the hole in the circuit board and to discuss testing. So what I did was I took a piece of just regular PC board that you make prototypes out of, and I cut it into the shape of the hole, and let's see if I can get a good shot of it. And I riveted it down. I was going to rivet it in 3 different places, but as you can see here, the second one that I did broke the board. So I left the one rivet in that I created, and to stabilize it on the other end, I just took a piece of wire and looped around through a hole that I had drilled in that board, and soldered it to the board to secure it as an anchor. And it's on there pretty darn good. So it don't look factory, but it works. You can see the hole had destroyed a lot of traces, so I had to run power and signals and things like that. Most of the traces were gone going to that TDA 1004 that used to live there. But even though it looks like hell, works 100%, works good. Both audio channels are working. One of them, this one here, has some noise at the beginning, but it clears out. I don't know if that's supposed to be the crowd cheering or what, but it's consistent, so I assume that's correct. But after you've played a game, that cheering noise goes away, and so I suppose it's fine. If the cheering doesn't go away, then the amplifier gets hot because it's a constant noise. I add a couple little heat sinks there. Not sure if that's going to be adequate, but I've been testing it quite a bit, and they're getting warm, but they're not burning my hand to touch them. Let's see. One of these F9312s was bad, so I had to chop it out and put in another one of my little boards that I made to replace it. This little board converts a 9312 location to use a 74151. Those are pretty much identical chips, just the pinouts differently. So I made a little board to map that out, so I can, replace those 9312s, which are very expensive. They can be $10 each if you're not careful. A typical price is $3 to $5 though for those. So, and a 74151 is like 30 cents or something. They're pretty cheap. But so that's the engineering I did to get around that problem. This was the problem I was seeing was the player 1 car would not shift, and the accelerator was always pressed. So that's that chip there controls that. Let's see. Nothing really else to talk about except how I hooked up a trackball to test the steering. This isn't a trackball out of like a millipede or something. It lets me test the steering without having to have a steering wheel. Now it's real sensitive, but I guess in the actual game it's going to be sensitive as well. And I may have mentioned this in a previous video, but I'm using a Atari joystick to do the shifting. I'm missing the front piece, so I'm having to stick my finger in there to press the buttons manually. But that lets me test the gears in both players. So on the harness, you'll see I have the joystick plugged into one, but there's actually two, one for each player. So I'll plug it into one and I'll test it, and then I'll plug it into the other to test the other player. the audio, oh, and the joystick plugs into another connector there. That's I mean the trackball to simulate the steering wheel plugs into another DB9 connector. And the only other thing to mention is I only have one speaker, and this is a dual channel, so there's two different speakers receiving two different signals. And the way I'm testing that is I have two lines here that I will jumper between each of the outputs of the of these amp circuits, and this is the one speaker, and I'll just run a jumper from each of those lines to this one speaker connection, and that lets me test the channels independently. I guess that's about it. This thing's working. If anybody needs one of these for your machine, let me know. But I'm thinking about putting it on eBay, and I'm gonna put $500+ price on these because they're, you know, I don't know about expensive necessarily, but they're just rare. If you look on VAPS, it's single digit as far as commonality. They didn't make very many of these games. That's why I felt it was important to save this one, because they're so rare. Anyway, that's it for this project. I think I'm done. I can put this one on the shelf.